Hey, how's it going? Welcome along to episode number 4 of the Tide55 show. My name is Tommy Gentleman. I'm the CEO and founder of this digital marketing agency. And the people that you see here on the screen are the team working here with me every day. So I'd like to introduce them one by one. First, we have Kendall, who is our content manager. Give us a wave, Kendall. That's Kendall. We've got Darren, who is called Darren today. He's changed his name on Zoom, which is wicked. He's no longer called Amber. And Darren is our creative project manager. Darren, give us a wave. And then we have Matt, and Matt is just there with his headphones on. He is our video content creator. Give us a wave, Matt. Oh, look at that. I'm too cool to wave. I'm just gonna... Good to have you all here. So episode 4, let's do this. Kendall, what stuff are we talking about today?
So we've got the year. We'll get into that in a minute. Twitter, and if we've got time, a little bit of Instagram as well. So by the year, that was quite a general topic, but a lot of like the big things in the news at the moment that aren't getting too controversial with the royal family is the fact that we are in March and we are now circling into a year since we first went into lockdown. And basically, I just want to talk about obviously all the changes that have been, how much digital has come on since then and kind of been pushed, but all the different things that have come from that. So like, for example, Tommy, let's come to you first. What effect do you think that the last 12 months have had on consumer behaviour?
Lots. But I think the underlying change is how the expectation is there now. So before it was an option to buy something online versus going into town or going to the shop itself or doing any other way, ringing someone up, even speaking to a human on the phone. These were all options, and buying something through the internet, through the portal of the internet, was an option. Now it's an expectation, because weirdly, as human beings, we prefer it if we don't need to talk to anyone. If we want to go and buy something, we like to at least do our research before speaking to another person. That's kind of how it's got now. There are some exceptions to the rule, some chatty people that do prefer to talk to others about their options, but the expectation is there now. So if a company is able to provide, or when a company is able to provide a sale or an inquiry, or at least the start of their sales process through the internet, digitally, then they are now flying in the realm of expectation. If that's not there, that then becomes an inconvenience. And that, I think, is the biggest shift in our human psychology. We are always going to gravitate towards what's most convenient. And now it's normal. And I mentioned before, back in, I think, June, my father-in-law bought some house plants off the internet. And he was like blown away by it. He was like, I've just bought plants off the internet. I didn't think I was going to get any plants this year because the garden centres are closed. This was in the middle of the first lockdown. And I said to him, just out of interest, like, now you've bought plants off the internet, do you think you'll ever go buy plants in the garden centre again? And he goes, I do like to go and look at them, but they look like how they look in the pictures. So I probably will just go back there and buy them again online. And like that in itself made me go, that's a huge change. There are so many more thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions maybe, people who are now in the pool of people who could buy something on the internet. Whereas 12 months ago, that pool was much slimmer. You could probably put an age demographic on it and say, well, anyone in their 20s and 30s, they might do it, but others might not. Whereas now the expectation is there. And I think that's exciting for all businesses.
Yeah, definitely. It is. It has kind of, it's crazy how much it's changed. Obviously, it's been forced to, but that is what it is. So then, Darren, what do you think about how businesses can use that to their advantage going forward when things do start to reopen again?
I actually think, I think there'll be a slump. I think when the shops open, I think that sales might take a little dip, because I think people will want to go back to the shops for a bit, if they can, if they already open. But they might only do it for a short term. There'll still be the people that want to do it online because they've got that time now. But I think there might be a slight dip
in online sales.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a slight dip once everyone can go back to normal and can go back into the shops. I think people would be desperate for interaction with people again and doing that sort of thing. it will go back up, and it's definitely the way forward for sure. And as Tommy's quite rightly said, we've accelerated the process, and we're down 10 years down the line. But I wouldn't be surprised if people go back to shopping in malls for a while.
Yeah, I guess
But
I think
they might.
you're gone.
But when they get there, I think they're going to realise that some of those shops that they left are not there anymore. That's going to be the sad thing.
Matt, what do you think will stick and what do you think might not? So, like, for example, do you think people still do their meetings over Zoom, and do you think people will shop online more, or that kind of thing?
I think it kind of boils down to the average person's behavior, let's say on a day-to-day basis, whether it be shopping online or whether it be meetings on Zoom, like you say. People tend to go for the shortcut, the easier option. And that's also going to save time. So I think in a business sense, all the online stuff, there's so many advantages to that. You know, I think long term, what's going to stick will be the online stuff, without a doubt.
I think that's definitely changed, probably for the good. It's easier for us all.
You can't beat price either. Like, this is a weird thing, okay? And I'm slightly ashamed of this, but around Christmas time, when you could go shopping because the shops were open, we were looking at toys for the kids in shops, but buying them on the internet. And that's because the value of the shop was no longer the fact that you could buy it. Whereas, and get your head around that, the value of the shop was no longer that you could buy the product. The value of the shop was that you could see it,
Tangible, yeah,
and that you could touch it. But it wasn't to buy it there, because we just knew that this certain place we went has a bit of a reputation for being a bit too expensive for what it is. And that's because it has the overheads of a shop. It's, you know, whereas a warehouse that just has orders coming in every day, it doesn't need to have the same overheads. And so we were looking at toys and then buying them on the internet for £5-6 less than the toy itself. Now, here's my disclaimer, because I do feel slightly ashamed of that. Had we walked into that shop, the person working there had gone above and beyond to make the experience more enjoyable, to be more helpful than what the value of that shop was bringing me at the time, which was only to look and touch things, then I probably would have, in my logic marketing mind, gone, well, I'd rather pay that margin to help and thank and give my currency to that experience that I've just had. But she just stood there. She didn't do anything. She barely said hello. So I thought, well, there's no extra value that I'm getting here for me to warrant paying the extra money that I would pay if I bought it here in the shop. I can literally walk outside the shop. Well, I could do it there. There's nothing stopping me getting my phone out now and getting next day delivery, because you can't beat price. At the end of the day, the shops have to do more. They have to do so much more if they're going to be able to survive, because price-wise, they're not going to be able to compete with someone who doesn't have the margins, doesn't have the outgoings that a physical place of work does. And the brands that the brands that will win, I think, are the ones that show through digital that they care. They tell the story all the time of, hey, we've just got these new items in, they're really excited about it. You know, you can buy online, but if you come into the store, we'll give you X, Y, and Z. And now what they're doing is they're actually leveraging the problem. They're taking the problem, which is the internet, but they're leveraging it to make it part of their solution, which is, how can we use the internet as a stage, you know, as a mantle to be able to reach customers and incentivize them to walk in that door.
Okay, would you download a token, voucher, whatever, for 10% off, 15% off? You had to walk into the store and present it on your phone.
Amazing. Yeah, and that's a great idea. I think you should probably have a look into that. But like, with regards to like gift vouchers, gift cards, it just revolutionizes that process, because again, they're hacking into the problem. The problem is the digital revolution. Well, how can we use that to be part of the solution? Offer incentives that can be digital in terms of the method of delivery, but ends up with a human being stood here inside the shop, because that's the point of us having this shop, right? Rather than buying a warehouse or a little shed. that we can just ship things off from.
What it makes me think of, though, I keep seeing posts about like Primark stores reopening, and I hadn't really clicked until we're just talking about it now. But they don't have an online store, which is quite interesting, really, because you'd think they would have by now. But then once shops open, like when we come out of lockdown the first time, people were saying that like Primarks were crazy, like they were so packed because they don't have another option. So it's quite interesting. I feel like maybe a smart choice so that when shops do reopen, they'll probably be all right.
Yeah, there's a seesaw effect to everything, and there will, whether it's Primark or whoever, both ends of the spectrum in terms of like cheap and cheerful and deluxe, elite, bespoke. There's always a seesaw effect, and when everyone runs that way, there's always going to be benefit in running that way. And saying, for example, we're not on the internet. If you want our service, come to us, and we'll give it to you. You know, that is an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, definitely, it is. Okay, cool. So let's move on. Next subject, which I feel like we haven't really talked about that much, is Twitter. And the main reason is because on this website that I go on to find, just to stay in the loop, it usually has like top 5 popular stories of the week, and Twitter was 3 of the 5 this week. So I thought, let's do that. So a few things that they're doing. They are making some changes. So they are now testing, I don't know if you probably know that when you post an image, it only shows like a preview of it. So they're now testing showing the full image, so you don't have like bits cut off. They're also testing an undo option. So when you send a tweet, you've got like 30 seconds to change, or if you've seen like a spell error or something like that. They also have it's called Spaces, which is an audio broadcast only. And they have now got this new safe mode thing that I think we mentioned last week, where if you're getting like negative comments or stuff, you can activate it and it turns them off. And they are looking into e-commerce options. So they sound a bit to me like they are trying everything. But what I want to know, and let's go for Matt first, do you think Twitter can compete with the other social platforms?
I said before, Twitter is unique in its own way. You know, Twitter is, I would say the majority of that platform is a very toxic platform. Is, you know, in terms of if you look at, you know, where people are on social media, what the demographics like, it kind of is all spread out. But then when it comes to Twitter, I feel like it's quite, you know, narrowed down in a way. But, you know, they have the potential there to compete with other platforms, of course, but I don't know, obviously all the changes you mentioned, they're relevant to the platform, they're needed and have been for some time. So I think Twitter is always going to be about, it's not, you know, it's not looking at it thinking, oh, are they going to be able to keep up? And then at the other end of the spectrum, is Twitter about to die? That's not the case. Twitter is more than alive. Like tweets are, you know, the impressions some people get across accounts on there, and, you know, the amount of tweets that are flying left, right and center every single day and week, the numbers are crazy. But I think Twitter is different, but I don't know if it's going to be able to push, you know, sort of towards the same way that, say, Instagram is trying to push, or, you know, compared to the other platforms. I think Twitter is in its own lane and it should stay in that lane.
Yeah, I actually totally agree with you on that, because I do think, like, I have Twitter, but I don't really use it. I only use it for like news and to be updated. But when I looked at like the all the social platforms, and it kind of goes through like the most used, Twitter is literally like at the bottom, below like Pinterest and Reddit and stuff, even though people always talk about how it's still so active and it's still so used. But then let's go on to more like business side. Tommy, what do you think about businesses using Twitter?
The opportunity for businesses using Twitter is to use it as a way to jump into conversations. So think of it as like being at a party, and like in your memory banks of when the last party you went to, but being able to sort of walk up to a group of 2 or 3 people and be like, yeah, how's it going, and just listening for a little bit and going, oh, are you talking about that river across the way? Yeah, no, do you know what? I went there once. It was amazing. What you need to do is you need to take one of those rafts for the kids, blow it up, get on the river. It's safe. It's a good, you know, it's a good depth. It's not dangerous. And just go up there, up and down with the kids. It's brilliant. Have a picnic. Anyway, see you later. And use it as a chance to kind of add value to the conversation. For a business, that could be if you, for example, were let's say that you're a local coffee place, you'd be looking at people's having conversations about coffee, having conversations around the local area, and then being able to jump in and say, yeah, we really like that too. And just by being involved in the conversation, you'll get attention. People will look at the account. And if you don't do that, no one's going to look at the account. So that's really important. I think businesses need to understand the nuances between these platforms. And right now, as it stands, the best opportunity is to actually make an effort and start talking to people on Twitter. I think the ad platforms struggle because I don't think they're, well, of course they don't. Some people do very well from it. But for the everyday business, simply because the time that people spend on there is so limited and they bounce around from one thing to the other, it's very difficult to make an opportunity land, like on Instagram on the feed or on Facebook, for example. So I think at the moment, until we see some of these changes come into place, businesses shouldn't be talking about themselves as much, but they should be getting involved in conversations and asking more questions to people, because every time they do that, it's public and other people can see and read the conversation, get a real feel for what and who you are really, when you're not trying to show off and say how great you are, but when you're actually just dealing with another person, having a conversation with them. So I think that's a big opportunity.
I'm going to go for Instagram. And yeah, you sent the article about the auto captions thing, which I think was pretty cool. But then also as well with the new rooms release, which I actually think is really interesting. So for anyone that's not sure, basically what that is now is, you know, you can go like live with one other person. You can now go live with 3 other people. So in essence, we could be doing this on Instagram live, which I think is quite interesting and has like lots of opportunity for. But what are you smiling for? You tell us what you think.
I'm smiling because I had a bit of a to and fro with our friend Ryan Hartley on this, because he said Instagram have, I think his words were, Instagram have made their own clubhouse. And you know, I won't say it was personal, the conversation that we had, but essentially I argued that and said that Clubhouse is audio, so it's not the same, although the platform of psychology is very similar. Now, I think it's fantastic, and I think Instagram will always, their innovations can be looked at desperate changes, like with Reels. Oh, TikTok, oh no, let's do Reels. But I think Instagram know exactly what they're doing. They're extremely on it. Zuckerberg and co know that they have to look after that platform. That platform is bang in the middle of its life. It's at its peak, and they have to try and keep it there. Facebook is becoming its own thing, and it'll always be strong, just purely for the data that it has. But Instagram, they have to protect that and keep it trendy. They have to keep it trending. But yeah, it just also goes to show how unique the Clubhouse element is, because video has been Periscope, YouTube, Facebook Live, Watch, Twitter now introducing more video. This isn't anything new, but it's about adapting the psychology. Okay, if people are starting to dig conversations a little bit more rather than 2 ways, then let's make that possible. Let's make it possible for people to co-collaborate, have little sort of mini conversations, maybe involve some of the audience through video, because that's what we're here for, right? Keeping people on the platform. They'll never go to audio. They'll never, ever go to audio because it's too easy to do something else. That's the point of audio. That's the benefit of it. You can listen to it while you're doing the housework. You can listen to it while you're driving. Instagram don't want you to do that because they want you to see their ads. They don't want you to listen. They don't want to interrupt. Hey, we'd interrupt this broadcast to tell you about this product. They're not into that. That's disruptive. They want you to see their adverts, and that's all they care about. So they will keep that. They'll never go to audio only. I think it's great. Maybe we should do one of these on there one day. Who knows?
Yeah, imagine.
Just a thought then. Just a thought, sorry. You got me thinking now. That's how my mind works, unfortunately. With Clubhouse, then, do they advertise on there?
as far as I know, there's no adverts. That is slightly a guess as well, but I think it's inevitable that they will. Either it will be like rooms that are sponsored by certain companies, perhaps, or it will be a case of interrupting at certain points to like put in, like Spotify do, or they might not. They might do that and then have a monetized version, which means that you don't have to listen to any of the adverts. You know, adverts are what generate commerce at the end of the day, either through product sales or people paying not to hear them.
No, all I was thinking was ones that Matt's putting together at the moment. You know, it's all about Angels handling, call handling.
Yeah.
There's never going to be a better opportunity. It's all about their voices, like we said. You know, there's no visual content there really. We put something visual together because we think it looks quite different. However, you know, there's audio, but it could be an opportunity there.
I think it's a great opportunity to keep on the horizon, for sure.
We are going to play a game today, and I'll try and explain it, but tell me if I confuse you all. I'm going to basically ask you questions, and I'm going to go around. It's going to go Tommy, Matt, Darren, because that's the order you're on my screen. And you have to reply. You have to answer the previous question. Okay, so if I say, Tommy, what's your favourite drink? Matt, what did you do this morning? Matt, you have to tell me what your favourite drink is. Tommy, how are you today? Matt, what did you have for breakfast?
I'm feeling good today.
Darren, what's your favourite film?
Usually.
Even I'm getting confused. Tommy, do you have any pets?
Fight Club.
Matt, what's your favourite colour?
Nah, they all passed away a couple of years ago.
Darren, what car do you drive?
Purple.
Tommy, what's your favourite holiday destination?
My wife's car, which I'm not happy about.
Matt, can you ice skate?
Haven't been there for a while.
Darren, what's your favourite season?
Yes, not very well.
Tommy, what's your favourite genre of music?
Summertime.
Oh, guys, that was good. I'm impressed.
Oh,
I
man,
think
you
I
nailed
got
that.
more confused than you did.
That
You
was good.
answered. I'm like, I don't even know what the question before was. I'm impressed.
I just
We did it.
concentrated on whatever Matt said. That's all I needed to worry about.
I think it's funny listening to the answers. It's funny.
Yeah, it was really hard because you were answering. I was like, I don't know if that was the right answer or not. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
Well
We're
done.
going to
You
do
win.
that. Are we going to do that with our guests when we have our guests on? Or are we going to
Yeah.
do different things?
I haven't decided yet because I think if we have a leaderboard, it would be cool to. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to
When
play
it's
with
just
it.
us, we could do that, and then when it's a
Yeah.
guest, we'll do.
They have
something
like a
different.
different kind of quiz where they have to like
Yeah.
answer in a certain amount of time or something.
So there we have it, episode number 4 of the Tide55 show. Thanks for joining us. Do make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, you subscribe and you hit that little bell so that you know when all of our videos come out, when they come out. We're producing 3 a week now, most weeks. So we look forward to sharing more marketing information and business insights with you in the near future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.